Hello. Welcome to day 170. Right now in NTI, we're in what I called last week a very exciting time. I think it is. We're in a period of time where we're looking at the meaning that we apply to circumstances, to people, etc. And we're gonna keep doing this. I thought I would talk a little bit about the practice that we most recently did because we'll get a chance to do that again. Whenever we got upset to any degree, we were to look to see what I wanted from that situation. What did I want from that situation? For example, let's imagine in the workplace, somebody is constantly not meeting their deadlines, right? And I'm finding myself getting frustrated with this person. So when I look at the situation, I'm really frustrated with this person. In fact, I feel like I don't even like this person. And I look to see, well, what is it that I want? What do I want from this person? And I find I want her to meet her deadlines, right? I want her to get her work done on time. So that's what I want. So that's number one. Look to see what I want from the situation, and then say, my definition of myself includes preferences, judgments, and concepts. I have projected my definition of myself onto this or onto him or onto her. And that's why I'm upset. So, what is my definition of myself that I've projected onto this person who's always missing their deadlines? Well, it's my ideas about responsibility and how, meeting your deadlines is good. Meeting your deadlines is responsible. You should be responsible, right? These ideas, and these are a part of my self-concept. Now, the funny thing is, I could see myself as responsible, or I could see myself as irresponsible. Either way, responsible is a part of my self-concept. One of the one of the audios that we listened to recently, I told a story about a spiritual teacher who commented that he didn't get angry anymore when I had just seen him very angry just a couple of weeks before. And someone that was there in the NTI study group said, well, maybe you were projecting the anger onto him. And I said, no, I was projecting something onto him, but I wasn't projecting the anger onto him. What I was projecting was my expectation that he be honest, right? That's what I was projecting. There's a difference between observing and projecting. And a good way to find that difference is you're upset. In that particular story, I mentioned that I saw this person upset. He wanted someone to take care of his dog and she didn't want to, and he was very upset. And I said, that actually didn't bother me because I was just observing that. I wasn't projecting anything onto the scene. But then a couple weeks later, when he said while teaching that he never got upset, and I heard what I knew was not true. That's where I projected my expectation onto him, that he should be honest, right? Another example of projection, I did the responsible one. Let's talk about mistakes. Maybe there's someone that that makes mistakes, and you find yourself getting upset because they made another mistake. So there's some kind of idea about mistake, and that mistakes are bad, or mistakes show you're not smart, or something like that in your self-concept. Now, again, that may mean that you find yourself on the positive side of that line. You don't make as many mistakes, so you're smarter. Or you may find yourself on the negative part of that line. You make a lot of mistakes, so you're not that smart. Or actually, more likely, you find yourself on both sides of that line, right? But the line itself is a part of your self-concept. And you're projecting your self-concept onto that person. So again, we're to look to see what I wanted from that situation. I'm upset because I wanted this to be easy and he's making it complicated, right? He's complicating things and I wanted it to be easy. That's what I see I wanted from this situation. My definition of myself includes preferences, easy, judgments, and concepts. I have projected my definition of myself onto him, and that's why I'm upset. So this idea that I want things easy is a part of my self-concept. And again, sometimes I may find myself on the positive side of that line. Sometimes I may find myself on the negative side of that line. But that idea, that preference that things be easy is a part of my self-concept. By watching for the meaning that you apply to different situations, you can identify lots of ideas, preferences, judgments that are part of your self-concept that you weren't even aware of. And this is really exciting because, all of these ideas and preferences and judgments, they're holding us attached to the idea that I am this person, which really isn't a person at all. It's a collection of ideas, preferences, and judgments. And we're saying, I am this collection of ideas, preferences, and judgments. And not only are we losing our peace then when things kind of bump up against the self-concept that we have, but that's hiding our true self. That's hiding what we really are, which has nothing to do with these ideas, these preferences, and these judgments. Now, these ideas, these preferences, these judgments, this is what NTI calls the filter of your mind. And as we see through the filter of our mind, right, we have an individual interpretation of the entire world. And that individual interpretation keeps us seeing separateness. So we aren't aware of unity consciousness. So again, this is a really exciting time, and I hope you're embracing it. I hope that when you are doing the exercises, when you notice, first of all, I hope that you're noticing when there's an upset to any degree. And then I hope you're looking to say, okay, what is it that I want from this situation? And then you're saying, what you are asked to say that day, but also noticing, this is a part of my self-concept. This is a part of the ideas, preferences, and judgments that hold together the idea of me as an individual person, separate from everything else. Yeah, there's something that we just recently read in NTI. Let me just share it quickly. It says, this was in NTI Luke chapter 18. When one begins to understand what is asked of him on this path to heaven, one must become afraid. This means at some point the fear will arise. That is because you believe that you are the thoughts that you think. You have taken them on as your identity. And so when I ask you to lay your thoughts aside, and I seem to make no exceptions to this request, there must come a time that you become afraid. For there must come a time in which you think I am asking you to trade yourself for the kingdom of God, or to trade yourself for the truth. Again, that shows that we're identified with these ideas, these preferences, and these judgments. And at some point, there are certain ideas, preferences, or judgments that are really core values of ours. And when it comes up that it's time to let that go, this thought like, oh my God, that's too important to let go, right? That's the core of what I am, but it's not the core of what you are. In fact, NTI says, for there must come a time in which you think that I am asking you to trade yourself for the kingdom of God. Rest assured that nothing could be further from the truth. Rest assured that nothing could be further from the truth, because you are not these ideas, these preferences, and these judgments. They're the blocks to seeing what you are. It also says, so do not be afraid. Be willing and give me what you can. In gratitude for what you gain through giving, you will be willing to give more. So as we give up, let's say that the idea about responsibility as a part of my self-concept, as I give that up and that is no longer a part of my self-concept. Sometimes people are responsible, including me. Sometimes people are not, including me. And that's just the way it is. And it's no longer a part of my self-concept. Then I experience peace where before I experienced upset. And I noticed that. I noticed life actually is easier now. I'm able to be in situations that I wasn't able to be in before. And instead of using my deficiency cognition in those situations, it's my being cognition, right? I'm just being in these situations. Being and peace are synonymous. And so like now I see the positive benefit of letting go of these ideas and these preferences and these judgments that are part of my concept, my self-concept. And so now I'm willing to let go more. So again, do not be afraid. Be willing and give me what you can. In your gratitude for what you gain through giving, you will be willing to give more. We are going to continue this week, again, looking at the meaning that we're giving to situations. We're also going to continue this week. We've been practicing gratitude for 5 minutes twice a day. We'll continue that at least the first part of this week. And we're also going to continue to do cognition exercises during our meditation time. And remember, each cognition exercise, you want to do a minimum of 15 minutes, and the cognition exercises are different every day. And I don't know what you saw when you did that first cognition exercise. I held a picture of my daughter, because right, it was pick someone or something that you love. So I held a picture of my daughter and I looked at my daughter for the full 15 minutes and noticed the different ideas, the different preferences, the different judgments that were projected onto that face in the picture, right? And after I did that for 15 minutes, I had started a video prior to doing that. So after doing that for 15 minutes, I put my phone down, which is where the picture was. I put my phone down, I moved my eyes to the computer, and I practiced the do nothing meditation. And I really noticed that when you're doing the do nothing meditation, that's the being cognition, right? You're just being. So we'll continue to do cognition exercises this week. And if that's all the time that you have, that 15 minutes for a cognition exercise, that's fine. If you want to do the cognition exercise longer, that's fine. I've listed it as 15 to 30 minutes. And if you want to follow the cognition exercise with a do nothing meditation, either with or without a video, that's fine too. But we'll be doing cognition exercises all week. Today is day 170. The last time we donated to Leo at actualize.org was day 30. That's 140 days ago. In that time, we've had 8 different Leo videos. We had a video, How to Meditate. It was quite a while ago. In fact, right after the How to Meditate, we then listened to a Regina Dawn Akers audio about the brain relaxation meditation, right? It's back when we just started meditating for just a few minutes. Now we've moved all the way through the do nothing, and next week we'll be starting a new meditation, right? So this video was quite a while ago. That's how long ago we donated to Leo. But we did see a video how to meditate. We also saw a video that is one of my very favorites. Awareness alone is curative. Just as we were starting NTI Mark, we saw a video, low quality versus high quality consciousness. And then somewhere along the line in NTI Mark, we saw meditation techniques, do nothing, and we moved into the do nothing meditation. We also saw distraction, the ego's favorite defense mechanism, how to stop judging yourself. And then we saw the short version of awareness alone is curative as a reminder. And then, of course, this past weekend, we watched how your mind distorts reality. So those are the 8 videos. So consider leaving a tip or a donation for Leo at actualize.org to thank him for everything that we've gotten out of these videos. And just as a reminder, you can just go to actualize.org, click on the donate button. You'll come to what Leo calls his tip jar. And then there's a little arrow here where you can click and you can select the amount you like to donate. And then just click on buy now. And that will take you into where you can donate either through PayPal or through your credit card. All right, so that's it for today. But again, very exciting time. So we're noticing our projections. That's very exciting, to bring consciousness, to bring awareness to our projections. All right, bye.